Now I thought I was doing the right thing, trying to work on my game totally on the driving range. But I was wrong, and I'm sure you are too.
Just absolutely bulleted that. But what did you notice about the experience of that, Alec? What was your mind like during that swing?
Sounds bizarre.
Now what you've just said is so profoundly important.
This is Carl, one of the leading performance coaches in Europe. And this dart hack is one of his most famous.
When you say bounce, in my opinion, bounce is probably the silliest word that's ever been used.
So I thought there was no one else better to come and see.
I've not got better. But I think it's amazing how these are things that people can actually do. It's things you can
practical things that you can practice.
Carl, everyone knows that I've been working seriously hard on my game. And I guess, like many people, when you work really hard on your game, how do you like transition what I've done in my lessons to the course? Because I always think this, when you work with the top players in the world, they're getting lessons, I'm not saying every week, but they're certainly seeing the coach a lot, right?
Yeah.
How do they go from, okay, I'm working on this, that constant search for improvement, to then, you know what, I'm teeing it up to win the BMW International Open, to win the club champs?
The crucial key, Alex, is really understanding that it's almost like you need to wear either two hats or two gloves to play golf.
Okay.
One is a training hat, and one is a playing hat, or a training glove or a playing glove, in the sense that we need to work on our golf swing. We need to improve our function, we need to improve impact, all of those things. But what we end up doing in training is training our mind just to work on positions, which, as we know, doesn't really work on the golf course. So when you go to play, it literally is that shift where, in fact, what I get some players to do is literally, they'll either wear a different hat, a different colour, as crazy as it sounds. You've got your training hat, your playing hat. We've done it with gloves as well. So you've got your training glove. This is what, when you're training, you're working on your positions, you're working on impact, you're working on your mechanics. Right, now let's make the physical shift whereby we now go into a playing mindset, which is different.
So, like, when I have my lessons, let me grab a glove out of here.
Right.
So, this is one of the things that I've been working on, trying to get in this side. So, you're saying I would, let's say, on this glove here.
So we're now ready to play.
Okay, so I'd put, I'm going to put a dot because I've seen
the Louis dot.
The Louis dot on my playing glove, let's say.
So you could have the black dot could be a playing focus.
Yeah.
The red dot could be a training focus. I mean, pick your colours, whatever knocks you out. Yeah. So now we've got the playing glove on, Alex.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, what do we need to do for a playing mindset? It to me is reduce, reduce, reduce.
And what does that mean?
What I mean by that is we're reducing the amount of things that we're thinking about. We're reducing the amount of things that we're trying to focus on. I call it, when you go and play golf, a big part of this is when you're actually hitting shots, I call it the 1 point.
Okay.
It's what do you bring your attention to? What's the one thing that you can bring your attention to, that you can keep your attention on during the swing, that allows that skill to come out that you've trained?
Just like the amazing advice Carl is sharing here, I was told from a young age to always wear sun cream. I'm out on the golf course for 4+ hours, and when I'm coaching, it can be all day. I need to protect my skin because in the past, I've felt burnt, especially in my ears. I've started using Particle as it's designed specifically for men, and it's the first transparent sun cream offering superior protection in the sun without leaving white marks on my skin, staining my golf clothes, and the worst thing of all, right, you get that oily feeling on your hands. You don't get this. Which, to be honest, in the past, I've read this, bought sun cream just to feel like I'm gripping a slippery eel. I repeat it. I'm shocked, but you don't get this. In fact, you can apply it out on the golf course and go straight into hitting a shot. The bottle is super lightweight, which means it sneaks into your golf bag, so don't worry guys. There's plenty of room to put more golf balls in your bag for those ones you lose in the trees. Now, since I've teamed up with Particle, they're offering you 20% off all of their products when you use the link and the code in my description of this video. And right now, get ready for the golf season with the golf bundle. Get yours, stay protected. This is what I'm doing from now on.
And is that something that someone will have got? Can I give you that back?
Yeah, absolutely.
And is that something that someone will have got from lessons, someone will have got from practicing?
Yeah.
And that almost is like their little cue, their trigger.
Exactly. So let's say, for instance, an example would be You know, somebody might have worked on some key things to improve impact, but on the golf course, it might be that the focus is just on the back of the left hand. And can you keep your attention there all the way through the swing because the left hand or the right palm is the club face? It doesn't have to be that, but it's a 1 point. So what do you get a sense? You've been working on some things. If we could narrow it down to one focus of attention when you're playing, what would it be?
So if I said firstly, if I had my practice glove
training
glove, I would be focusing on probably 3 things.
Okay.
I'd be focusing on my right knee not moving too much, and then halfway back, this element from sort of around hip height, and the final one is really trying to get into that left side. But then if I wear my playing glove, the trigger that really sticks to me and the one that I'd go, okay, I know I'm going to make a good swing is just this knee.
Okay. So
which sounds bizarre.
Now what you've just said is so profoundly important, because I would say most people who play golf who are interested in getting better are in the training camp, and they're working quite rightly with the coaches. They watch YouTube or whatever, they're working on certain positions, which is great. But then what is it that you need to focus on that will allow everything to seamlessly come together on the golf course? So my view would be, you've just said it there, you know, you're just going to keep your attention on that for the duration of the swing. Yeah. A place to keep your mind quiet rather than busy.
Okay, because I think it's always tempting, isn't it? You think, oh, I've hit it great on the range, I'm trying to do everything that I've done.
Yeah, and you bring your training mindset to what should be a playing mindset.
Okay, so I know this because when I've hit some shots at the end of a range session, I'm like, right, I really feel that's really solid, and I get some good shots. So a couple of practice swings. And the only thing I'm thinking about is just that.
Just the 1 point.
So I get my aim and then 1 point.
You do your routine, but then we're into the 1 point now.
Okay. Whew.
And just absolutely bulleted that. What did you notice about the experience of that, Alec? What was your mind like during that swing, or where was it during that swing?
On one thing.
On one thing.
I mean, this tee shot's got water, right?
Yeah.
This tee shot's got out of bounds left. I wasn't even focusing on that. I was just completely going, okay, get my aim, think about the trigger that gets me going.
So a good way to think about this is when you wear your training glove or your training hat, you're aiming to develop skill.
Okay.
When you switch the glove, you're now aiming to access that skill. So you've trained your skills, but on that shot, you access those skills. Now, most people, what they're doing, unfortunately, is they're training skill, but they're not accessing skill.
I find that so interesting. Well, I know what I'm going to be doing now. Whenever I'm taking a lesson or I'm practicing, I'm going to wear my training glove, and then every single of my playing gloves are going to have a little black dot on. Look at the lie we've got after hitting that wonderful drive. Okay, Carl, I want to pick your brains around the greens.
Yeah.
I mean, straight away, I've probably been quite negative. I've gone, look at the lie we've got. Yeah. So what can we do here?
Well, what do we know? And we talked about this last time, Alex, that in terms of, you know, the back edge of the club, if we can get the back edge of the club to interact with the ground, you know, no matter what the lie is there. So, you know, 3 options that you can do. You just set up the 3 options for me, just to the side of the ball there. We could use the leading edge and dig in.
So
just do that. So it could be one of them, which is not great from that lie, is it? I wouldn't have thought.
No, I think it's going to be very
We could do the opposite one, which were people where we're not letting the club come to the ground and we're getting the leading edge leading up this way. Or we could get what I call surfing the turf.
Surfing the turf. What's that?
So basically what that means is that back edge of the club just smoothly interacts with the ground. So just show me a swing now where that back edge just, there we go. You notice?
So, would this be fair to say if you've got a bit of chipping anxiety, I mean, we've got over a bunker here, this would be a great way of going, I'm almost thinking, is this a bit like 1 point, like one thing to focus on that's not that or not that?
Literally, if you put your attention, I know there's debates about steepness and all the rest of it, for a lot of people, you know, using this back edge here is crucial. I think it was Roger Cleveland who I heard him say that the leading edge can get you into trouble, the back edge gets you out of trouble. And so this idea that when you're actually playing a shot, that back edge of the club is just interacting with the ground, that's a one point of focus.
Okay.
So you could think to yourself here, my job isn't to hit a good chip here, my job is just to get that back edge to smoothly surf the turf.
And then would it be fair to say you'll sort of do better things because of that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So this is, this is depending on where somebody is with the chipping technique, and it's all right saying to folk, well, you need to visualise the shot and you need to visualise the landing spot. That's great if you've got confidence with your contact, but if you haven't, no amount of visualisation is going to make any difference. Shrinking the world again, as we've talked about, focusing in one place. Can I just get that back edge to just brush the grass? Now we've got a simple task.
Because I'm guessing when you get the top tour players, their technique is great.
Of course.
But they just need that little trigger.
Just something to focus your attention on.
Okay, let's play that shot. So just over that bunker, but I'm just thinking about that one thing. Just that. Okay. I mean, that was a beautiful strike off that turf there. I mean, I slightly underhit it, but being honest with you...
Did you surf the turf?
Yeah.
You brushed the grass?
Yeah.
Now, because you brushed the grass, the back edge of the club interacted, collected the ball, and you've actually hit certainly a great contact.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't pay too much attention to the landing spot, but that is a perfect example of focusing your attention in one place, a simple task, get the job done.
I really like that, especially when the going gets tough on a really crappy lie like that, or under serious pressure, like over a bunker. Right, Carl, I've got one more question about this shot.
Yeah.
Because everyone speaks about the bounce, and it's a strange concept.
Just right there, Alex, when you say bounce, in my opinion, bounce is probably the silliest word that's ever been used in golf, because if you think about it, when people hear the word bounce, what do they think is going to, it's an image that we have in our mind that the club is actually going to bounce, and if I think that club is going to bounce, I'm going to be reluctant to let it interact with the ground, and that's where I think an awful lot of people then have problems that they're using the leading edge, because they're trying to avoid the club interacting with the ground. If we use back edge, I think that's a much better term. And one great way of thinking about this with the back edge, imagine that the back edge of the club is like the wheels of a plane. And basically what you're trying to do is to get the wheels of the plane just landing smoothly on the runway. We don't want a crash landing, and we don't want an aborted landing. And that idea of just the back edge interacting with the ground, I would much rather, we talk about glide, we talk about surfing the turf. Never ever, this is your friend. The back edge of the club is your friend, no matter what the lie.
Yeah.
It's incredible how, golf clubs are designed for certain purposes.
I think what's interesting about that shot that I played there, in the past I'd have been so technical, trying to be like, right, okay, do this.
Yeah.
I'd have one thing to think about.
Back to this playing mindset of one point.
Right, I want to hit the shot again because I'm excited about this. And then I'm dying to pick your brains on the green. Okay, let's get that. Surf that turf. Oh.
Now, wasn't that the purest contact you've ever...
I've not got better.
That was just pure contact, wasn't it?
That was...
Because you surfed the turf there.
I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
That was stunning.
But, you would have used this part of the golf club just interacting with the ground. And even though it was a horrible lie, it's amazing how effective that can be.
Right, let's jump onto the green. Now, what on the green, and I often think when you see the top players in the world, let's just take the Masters, it's just happened. I've heard some stories about it is basically won and lost there on the greens. It's so tough. And I think for any golfer, this is what we spend the most time with, but probably the most torturous bit, because we try to be so perfect with everything.
Perfect and precise.
Yeah. So anything that I can sort of do here to help me and obviously everybody else with sort of this area.
Again, I think this theme of a playing mindset, Alex, obviously green reading is an art and things like that, but it again comes back to what is your focus of attention on. And what I find with players when they get nervous on the putting green is their eyes get very busy. Their eyes are darting around all over the place. Watch when folks are watching this, when you're playing with your mates and whatever, you just watch the behaviour of the eyes, and they're all over the place. Good putters tend to have what's known as quiet eyes. And my suggestion would be is that you get very, very clear on the entry point.
Okay.
So that would be something that you'd be clear on, but allow your eyes then to glide back to the ball. And sometimes it can be a really good idea to put a spot on the ball and then just allow yourself to focus on that spot that's holding your attention, and then that allows really good strike.
So not the ball in general, a point on the ball.
A point on the ball.
Okay, so could we do that? Can I?
We certainly can.
Can I use that live hole here?
So the old Sharpie comes in handy again.
But I think it's amazing how these are things that people can actually do. It's things you can
practical things that you can practice. So, you know, you'd read your putt, you'd decide on your entry point or your break point for some people, but then when you come back to the ball, your focus of attention is on the dot. A quiet place for your eyes to be, a place for your mind to settle.
Right, I'm interested to try that. So, Carl, I'm going to use this dot. I would historically like use a line. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to find this probably quite liberating. I'm going to put that dot down, and going back to that last time on that entry point, what I would say, my feedback to you is what I've really worked on is that I'm sort of imagining that ball two things.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that I've got 3 chances of holding it,
yeah.
but also the pace at which I'm trying to hold this now. I'm almost trying to imagine, the way I thought about it is the Tiger logo thing.
Yes.
You know, like
yeah,
it just
the Nike
going,
swoosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that for me, I've hit far less 3 putts.
Yeah.
But I think I can make this even better by having a little more focus. Because I know when you said about busy eyes, I am that person. I'm like, right, okay, yeah, there's a bubble there. Oh, okay, oh, there's this there.
Yeah. As a broad generalisation, if your eyes are quiet, your mind becomes quiet.
Okay.
If your eyes are busy, your brain's all over the place. So be clear on your entry point, Alex, and then just let your eyes glide back, and then that can be the last focus of attention, just to settle your mind, and then you can pull the trigger.
I like that it's black as well. I'm using black for my playing. That was a really nice putt, just a little bit of a misread.
But notice when you did that, how stable everything was. You know, for a lot of people listening, just this exercise of just going to the green and just hitting some putts with the dot on the ball and just noticing as you keep your attention there, all the things that we're told to do, like rock the shoulders and keep the head still and all that kind of stuff, that tends to happen when your attention is focused in that one place.
Because I wasn't looking at, sometimes I'm a bugger for looking at the putter.
That's another thing. A lot of people do is watch the putter going back, which then certainly on the golf course can be really destructive.
Like the strike of that putt.
Might be something in it.
Well, thanks so much for those 3, Carl. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Alex.
And they're things that I'm going to be using in my game, and I know you should be taking them straight into yours.